And our correspondent Mike Wagenheim is standing by there in New York. Mike, thank you so much for joining me. Firstly, tell me, what are your main takeaways from that joint press conference? How's it being received? We're already hearing from Israel's interim Prime Minister, Netanyahu.
Sarah, two parts of that press conference, obviously. Number one, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said the same thing that he said at the Security Council behind us here at the UN this morning, said the same thing before every international body. Broken record, same thing. Read it off a script, play it over and over and over again. There was really nothing new there. More interesting to listen, certainly, I thought, to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. A couple of holes in his case, if you can put it that way. Number one, he said that he feels that the Israeli populace is not in favor of the Netanyahu's government plan, not in favor of the Trump peace plan in terms of applying sovereignty to the Jordan Valley, in terms of applying sovereignty to Israeli settlements in the West Bank and Judea and Samaria. He mentioned the reason for that he thinks that is because there is no right-wing government at the moment, that the people voted against the right-wing government. Not necessarily true. There's certainly more right-wing seats within the Israeli parliament, even if you don't count the right-wing elements within blue and white. I don't think that Israelis are moving further to Ehud Olmert's and Mahmoud Abbas's way of thinking on potential future peace that has more to do with many other issues, including the corruption allegations around Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The other thing is, he made the main point right at the beginning and dragged it on for quite some time, that he feels that Mahmoud Abbas is a partner for peace, that he doesn't condone terrorism, that he's fought it all the way along. He said that goes back to Olmert's term. It's tough to reconcile that with Mahmoud Abbas and his Palestinian Authority paying significant salaries to terrorists who go out and murder Jews, including civilians and children in different areas of Israel, both beyond the Green Line and not. So that's a problem for Ehud Olmert. He may have to explain it when he comes back home. Didn't really have to expound on it much here in the United States.
And Mike, as you mentioned, both sides coming out to say that they want peace. In your opinion, is there any scope for this?
Olmert certainly wants peace, and I think Abbas wants peace in his own way, if he gets it on his own terms. And for that matter, so do the Israelis. They want peace, but they want it on their own terms. The huge question is, and the question that's dragged on forever, is can they meet somewhere in the middle? There hasn't really been any middle. There's been nowhere close to a middle so far. Even Olmert's generous offer, Abbas still hasn't answered that after 11 plus years. We're a long ways away if we ever get there.
And Mike, let's now talk about the UN Security Council very briefly. I understand you've been talking there with Danny Danon.
Yeah, we spoke with the ambassador, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, who made his case in front of the Security Council today. And we asked him because he said Mahmoud Abbas is not a partner for peace. But in the same breath, he said that Abbas needs to come to the negotiating table. A little problematic there. We asked him how to reconcile that. He said, well, if Abbas can just put aside his rhetoric, put aside his propensity to simply run to these international bodies like the United Nations instead of running to the negotiating table, well, then the Israelis can kind of change their mindset and look at him as more of a partner for peace, more than somebody that's just caught in the old ways that don't work anymore.
All right, let's take a listen to that interview you conducted there, Mike Wagenheim.
No news today. President Abbas came again with the same message: rejectionism, incitement, and I regret that. I think today when you go back to Ramallah, we will have no message to the Palestinian people. We welcome Trump's proposal. We think we should negotiate. And I heard many of my colleagues telling President Abbas, start to negotiate with Israel today. I think he should listen to them and come back to the negotiating table. If he expects resolution in the Security Council or in the General Assembly to help the Palestinian people, it's about time he will realize that it's not helping anyone.
You said today Mahmoud Abbas is not a partner for peace. You can't have peace until his tenure is over. So is the message that he's not a partner, or is the message that you need negotiations with him?
Well, unfortunately, when you listen to what he said and to his actions, you understand that he is not a partner for peace. He doesn't want to sign any agreement. He said no to many presidents, to many prime ministers, and only a few days ago he said we will say 1,000 times no to everything. So we welcome the plan. We're hopeful that one day we will see a leader like Anwar Sadat of Egypt or King Hussein of Jordan that will actually come, recognize Israel, and negotiate with us.
The fact that the Security Council wasn't going to pass this resolution, apparently, which is why the Palestinians pulled back, can be looked at it in any number of ways. Number one, American pressure. Number two, Israeli relationship strengthening with the rest of the world. Number three, other nations growing tired of Palestinians and their refusal to negotiate. What is your feeling on why the Palestinians pulled the vote on this resolution?
Well, I think they realize that they don't have the numbers they expected. And at the end of the day, people want to see us sitting together and negotiating together. Even the ambassadors who vote against Israel, they understand that they are not helping the Palestinians. They are playing the game. They know that in order to see a viable peace, we have to go back to direct negotiations.
What does a viable peace look like at this point?
Let's start with negotiating. That's what I told President Abbas. Why you are coming to New York all the time? Why you are not coming to Jerusalem? That's the place we should renegotiate.
Is this a time to negotiate? You have an interim government in Israel. You have an 83-year-old on the other side who's at the end of the road, either politically or medically at some point. Is this a time where negotiations can really happen and be fruitful?
Well, it's always complex when and how to do it. It's never easy. But we have elections in a few weeks. We're going to have a government. And I think there is always a time to make peace. That is my message today, and I hope that the Palestinians understand that we have nothing against them, and we wish them that they will have accountability, they will have proper elections, and then they will have a leader that can actually come and negotiate with us.
Is it time to negotiate? Is there a time to apply sovereignty to the Jordan Valley and to the settlements in Judea and Samaria?
This is a decision of the Israeli government. Prime Minister Netanyahu stated that he will take actions in coordination with the U.S. administration.
Now, we are going out for a short break, but when we come back, violent protests continue in Ramallah following the release of the Trump administration's peace plan. And as Israel edges toward its third round of elections, the leader of the Blue and White Party, Benny Gantz, has today spoken out during a tour of Israel's north on whether his party will align with the Arab joint list. So, will he or won't he? We'll tell you in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us.